Hey guys, Captain here. Today I'm bringing you something that was requested by someone for quite a while actually. It is a Lego Arwing from Starfox. It has shown up in a couple of Starfox games, and recently it was in Starfox Zero that came out about 3 months ago, I think. So I tried my best to kind of make my own personal style fit into this item. As you can see, it's kind of the micro scale. It's got a little bit of like an angular, but still sort of sleek style. Something I wanted to go for. There were people who had made ones that were a little more smooth, and they had used some plates like, or rather bricks. They'd used some bricks kind of like this one. Obviously not in dark green, but you can see there are a couple spots where you could probably think of putting them, maybe in the front, maybe even for these wings. So, but I thought I would go with something a little different, try and put my own unique spin on it, because I didn't want to just copy someone else's design for this creation. And so this is what I came up with, and I think it's pretty cool. These upper wings move quite a bit. I'm pretty sure you could actually flatten them all the way down if you were to pop it out a bit. And I tried to make a little blaster there. Tried to color scheme some nice stuff. There's only one change I would have made. It's because a certain piece is really difficult to acquire up here, but it still looks basically just fine. So anyway, with that, let's get started on the instructions. Alright, these are all the pieces laid out. So first thing we want to do is twice you want to start with a 1x2 in blue, and then stack that centered underneath a 1x4 in blue, and stack that centered underneath a 1x6 in blue. And so you make two of these things, and then once you've got them, you're going to connect them with a 2x4 in blue, again across the center. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a 2x4 in white and stick it underneath such that it is not centered, and then in the center again stick a 2x2 in white underneath, and flip it over, and on top, on this little bit of overhang here, stick a 1x2 in white. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is take one of these wedge pieces. I guess it's like a 3x4 in some sense. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a jumper plate and stick it underneath into this hole, and align it like such. Now there are actually two types of jumper plates I'm going to use for this. Realistically, you only need the one type. You only need this type with without the little pin underneath. But because I didn't have a ton of these lying around, I mixed and matched a little bit. But anyway, for this one you can use any type. And then you're going to stick a 1x3 underneath that, hanging out. And then over here, you're going to stick a 1x2. It's got this kind of weird underhang. And you're going to put this on the other side where we don't have the white plates. And so now it's time for us to fill in this gap. And so here you're going to take this type of jumper plate, so you can stick stuff in the center. Put two 1x2 plates in white. And I think if you can find some kind of white 1x2 brick that doesn't have the little column in it, because I think those exist. They might not be very common, but I think they do exist. Actually, you could, if you're willing to, you could use a Technic brick, but I think Technic bricks are kind of valuable for their use in lots of other creations, so I'd rather just use some 1x2 plates. Anyway, enough rambling. I'm going to stick that in here. And then I'm going to cover it up for stability with a 2x4 white plate. Now the next thing you want to do is you'll want to stick this kind of gray, I guess I'll call it a 3x4 wedge in the back. Place two translucent red or translucent orange studs here. And then we can make the wings. What you're going to do for this is you're going to take a white hinge plate, the smooth hinge kind. You're going to stick a light gray claw plate on top. I went for a vertical claw. There's like multiple things you can try for this. I thought this was a pretty neat way to make the blaster cannons, but you could try multiple other things. And then you're going to take a 1x6 plate and have it overhang sideways like this. Stick a 1x2 white plate, or not a plate, a tile, sorry. Stick a 1x2 white plate underneath. And then a white 3x2 or 2x3 wedge for the appropriate side, because you'll make two of these mirrored. And you'll stick these on the blue portion right here. And while we're at it, let's solidify this with a light gray plate, and 1x4. And then behind, overhanging our translucent studs, we can stick a 2x3 gray plate. And then here we can stick this kind of slope. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but you know, you can see it. It's some kind of variant on a 1x2 slope at I think 45 degrees. And as it turns out, they exist without this overhang part, but they're pretty rare, so I decided not to get any. You'll see what I did instead for the rest of, I guess, the cockpit. So now you're going to place a 1x2 plate in front of this piece here, which I think was a 2x4. Yeah, it was a 2x4. Cover it up with a 2x3 in white. And then you can place a 2x2 in white up here and stick some cheese slopes in white. And as you can see, it's not aligned perfectly with this kind of slope, but it'll blend in well enough when you're looking at the creation later. Especially because this part of the cockpit is going to basically cover it up. You can go with some kind of translucent black. You can even go with clear. I went with translucent yellow. I thought that was pretty neat. It pretty much depends what kind of artwork you look at for which color that's going to be. You want to stick a jumper plate over here. It doesn't matter what type it's going to be. And so now for the front, what you're going to do is you're going to take a white 1x4 plate. Here you're going to need two of these jumper plates to let you stick them on the center. So place them down in front of our other jumper plate. It should be kind of staggered like this. Then place another 1x4 white plate in front. Cover that one up with a 1x4 white tile. Stick a 1x2 plate on top of these jumpers. And then stick a 1x4 tile covering all that up. And so even though this part may appear like it's not super stable, it's held in place by basically everything else. So this actually is quite stable. And now finally for the other part of the, I guess, wings you could call them, you're going to make this twice, make it mirrored. So what you'll do is you'll take a 1x2 claw plate in black, and you'll take a 1x2, I don't know, appropriate hinge plate in blue. And you can just stick that right on. So what you'll do with the hinge plate is on the bottom stud, or on the lower stud I guess, you'll place a 1x2 plate hang out on the side, and then an appropriate 2x3 wedge plate in blue. And then on top of the 1x2 you'll stick another wedge plate in blue, again appropriate like this, so we can create a slope going this way, you know, or mirrored going this way. And then above that you stick a 1x1 plate in blue and a 1x2 tile in blue, and to cover this all up, center in a 1x4 tile in blue. And then this is going to go on top of our little gray pieces. Stick that right there. And there we have it. The Arwing is complete. So I think overall it actually turned out really nicely. I wasn't sure how I wanted to build it for a long time, which is why it took me a while to get around to the design process. But I finally decided to commit to the micro scale, and I finally found some neat ways to, again, make it in my own style. I was trying a lot of stuff with those kind of curvy slope pieces that I was showing off earlier. And I just didn't really like anything that I was coming up with, because it either was going to be too big, didn't really look too good, or was basically the same thing as someone else's design. Because there's a surprising amount of Lego reference material out there if you're interested in building your own Arwing. There are a few people who've come up with really nice designs, both on a minifigure scale and also on a micro scale. So I think they're really neat. My personal favorite is one that was done in like a Bionicle style. But anyways, you know, there you have it. The Arwing is complete. I think it turned out really nicely because I tried to follow a couple blueprints and other game images for references. And with that, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please rate, comment, subscribe. Send this to your friends. Check out my other videos. I've been trying to pump out a lot of content this summer, and I was thinking maybe I could even put out another Pokemon video today, but I didn't quite have the stuff ready for that, and I figured, well, I'm just gonna keep delaying the Arwing if I do that anyway. So so here's the Arwing. But like I said, I've been trying to put out a lot of content this summer, so I recommend you check it out. And with that, I will see you guys next time.